everyone, ServiceNow Expeditions here, Mike, Ula, and Ivan. As you remember, we got back from our stasis sleep some while ago, and when we were out, some exciting news were coming from the Earth saying that everybody these days are trying to use workspaces for their applications. And so we were thinking that maybe we need to upgrade our systems in the ship to give them a better look and a better functionality with this new technology.
Yeah, before we come to the workspaces, maybe we should have a look on our build application, the ServiceNow Expeditions application.
All right,
so we can remember what we built so far and what we want to improve.
Yeah, let me open the one of the expedition records. On this form, we have the record for the expedition itself and also connected custom tables about expedition tasks, ratings, crew, and some more.
This is the typical form in ServiceNow. And do you know how this UI is called in ServiceNow?
Classic UI.
Classic UI, yes. Or I also heard core UI.
Yeah,
UI 16.
UI 16. It has many names.
Yeah, UI 16 doesn't apply here anymore. I will show why. And have you ever heard from a customer or from your colleagues someone calling this a backend?
Yeah.
It's I wouldn't call it backend because in my understanding a backend is something different. But anyhow, I prepared a small picture to make it better clear what I think my understanding is, and we will also link an article afterwards in the description from Ashley Snyder, who explained this more in detail. So we had San Diego some years back, and ServiceNow introduced with that release Next Experience Design. And in comparison to this, I call everything what was before the so-called classic design. Maybe you can remember, or you have a customer who is still on this old design. It looks a bit different. Everything is not in the right place we are used today. And regarding the designs, we had also different words like UI 16 and before UI 15. It is related more to the CSS, the design aspects itself. And apart from the core UI, we also have other UIs like the mobile apps and the service portal. This is what we all know in ServiceNow. But here with the Next Experience Design, ServiceNow also introduced a completely new UI, which they are calling Workspaces. It's a complete new concept of doing the work in ServiceNow and get everything together in one view. Because remember our application, if you want to go to another record, you have to open a new browser tab, or you go away and you lose the contact to your previous record. And the workspaces now allow to have everything in one place. And maybe we should open one of these workspaces to showcase what we are talking here about. For example, the MDB workspace or the
And just before we go there, for those guys who are still calling the ServiceNow Snow, this backend thing is coming next. And one of the side notes here about is that with the Next Experience UI, what ServiceNow is also tries to do, right, is to make a unified look across many channels like portal, mobile, workspace, etc. We also remember I would say the first try to introduce that kind of a technology back in the day, which is called Agent Workspace. However, we cannot really consider it as something useful because from my perspective and from the real life world, I would say this one failed, and this is more like a brand new iteration of that type of thing. Yeah, let's first check what do we have. Normally when we have a brand new instance or a PDI on the top, you have a section called Workspaces, which allows you to browse through multiple pre-installed workspaces. So I presume most of the heavyweight products that ServiceNow delivers these days are coming with their own pre-configured workspaces, right? To help basically the persona or a role to fulfill their active duties, and also to bring a lot more information and visibility to the surface, so that it's all in one place and you can really access those things. This is, for example, the CMDB workspace, And you see it has tabs, it has different types of components like this intelligent search here. And this is one of those powerful features because Workspace could really be built out of many different types of components and blocks.
So the question now is, how can we create a new workspace? Do you have an idea?
I think there is a possibility to use a UI builder for that.
This is the hard and the long way, exactly. And even ServiceNow is not recommending to do this. That means to build a workspace from scratch because too many artifacts you have to build. There's a built-in option which prepares everything for you in a convenient way. However, it's only possible in the moment via the App Engine Studio.
Okay, we have App Engine Studio here. I have already opened.
Yes. It contains the Workspace Builder. It's not an individual product. It's part of this App Engine Studio as an individual option. We will see this soon. But before we do this, we should decide whether we want to create a branch, because if we start building a workspace, there are so many artifacts built in the background that you will never be able to get rid of them anymore. And branching allows us to try something out. And if we decide not to use the workspace anymore, we can switch back to the main branch.
All right, let me go to the studio, which I have already prepared inside of our application. Now let me open the app details so that we can have access to the source control. And here we can create branch. Let's create it.
Yes, ServiceNow will create or ask the GitHub repository in the background to copy the main branch and build another branch with the name Ivan has entered here.
And is this branch also available to, say, other developers that are working on this app?
Yes, branching here in ServiceNow means that the whole instance is branched or set to the new branch. So there's no way for developers to work in individual branches. This is maybe a downside by working in ServiceNow. Just keep this in mind or explain this to the developers that they really have to be careful.
And now as we have our branch created, it was also automatically selected by the system. So if we go here to source control and click on switch branch, we'll see that it's already there. I just need to refresh the page and change will also be reflected. So, yeah. All right, so now we are ready to create our workspace.
Exactly.
Let me go to App Engine Studio, select my application. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, ServiceNow is calling the UIs experiences. So
Huh.
this is, you have to know. And adding a new experience would allow us to create a workspace.
Okay, and here in the master we have a lot of options to select, one of which is a workspace. Let's create it. And now we have a short wizard where we can begin with the process. What does this process include? So first step will be to provide the basic information. It looks like it pulled all the roles we have associated with our tables. I presume we don't need all of them. We just keep admin, then manager. So this is the URL, right, which will be used for accessing a workspace. We can provide a description and the name, so we can, if you need it. But in our case, it doesn't matter. So we continue. And now the most important part, the primary table. So it has already pre-selected it as a certification, which is not correct, right? Because we actually are managing expeditions with it. So expedition should be the main table. And do we include
the secondary
all
tables
others?
they are important because I think they will automatically add it to the list tree or the list tree you have later. So therefore, I think we should leave them here and see what happens.
Yeah, so we have 6 tables created and associated with our application. So that's fine. Let's continue. And actually that's it, right? Now ServiceNow will do its magic in the background, sorry. and then we will see the outcome. And by the way, with the introduction of Zurich release, ServiceNow also introduced the new theme, which is called Coral. And I wanted to make a couple of notes about that because I really like the color theme, your own themes. It's just so funny when we were switching from when we were switching to Polaris. Polaris was looking that very modern and fresh, and now when we are switching to Coral, Polaris is looking very, very kind of outdated. So it's so funny how your perception works. All right. We are ready to check what ServiceNow has created for us. Now, if I refresh, I can already see that there are much more things in the experience. Yeah, Workspace is here, so we can click and review it. Let's see. Wow, and it's already a lot. You're landing on a dashboard, right, which is opened as a home tab, and you can see that you can modify it, adjust on your needs, right, so that it helps you to fulfill your daily business. What about the related tables? Let's check the lists view, and they probably, yeah, they are all here. However, nothing else except for the all lists were configured.
Yeah, and what happens if you open one of these records? Okay, the related lists are now located at the top of the form. I think this is a better approach because previously you had to scroll down all the time.
And also open a second form.
Yeah, and now it will be opened as a second tab.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful features of the workspace in comparison to the core UI forms, from my personal opinion, right, is that now you have an interface designed for expansion. On the right side, you have here a sidebar, which might include additional functionalities in the future. Let's say you want to connect the Microsoft Teams collaboration feature or Now Assist or something like that. And everything is neatly connected through those sidebars or by inclusion of any additional blocks which are available for a more advanced configuration.
Yeah, especially the service operation workspace is highly sophisticated and make use of these options there. You will find a lot of additional features there in these bars.
The service operation workspace, you really see an example of how powerful workspace could be. But again, unfortunately, it's still considered a relatively complicated topic. So it's better to have a grasp of the basics and understanding how all the components work, how you configure them before really starting to implement it in your environment.
So basically, ServiceNow created for us the foundation of a workspace, right? We saw the list view, only the all option. And if you want to continue here and to build new functionalities, we would have to open the UI builder and add the functionalities there. This is not a topic for today. Just want to mention it is not that easy to extend something in the workspace as we are used to do this in the core UI.
Have a quick look at the application details to show how many artifacts were created when we built this workspace.
Ah, yes, in the studio.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Lots of dependencies, right?
Yes. Before we continue here, we should also talk about licensing, because it was pretty easy for us to create this workspace with some clicks, and all the videos available also demonstrated that. What does it mean regarding licensing? What do you think? Is everyone able to use this workspace builder and create new workspaces?
No, I don't think so.
Depends on your license.
Yeah,
exactly. In our PDI, everything is pre-built, pre-configured, and we don't think about App Engine Studio. But if we go to the product pages here, Ivan has opened this to the App Engine product. We see we have two so-called packages, the App Engine Starter and the App Engine Enterprise. I remember some time ago, there was also something in between, like in the other packages or products we have, I forgot the name. So, and the App Engine Studio is only contained in the App Engine Enterprise on the right side.
Yeah. Here
And
it
also
is.
and also the Workspace Builder. This feature I mentioned before
Yeah.
should be listed here, yes.
Mm.
So that means if you want to create workspaces with the help of ServiceNow and not building this from scratch, you need an App Engine enterprise license. So you cannot leverage this if you only have ITSM or CSM in your instance, so the products many customers have. This is something we should have in mind here.
And what about other limitations? Do we have anything except for the App Engine Studio and Workspace Builder which might prevent us from,
Yes. This is also a good question, not only related to the usage of Workspace Builder, but to the usage of tables and apps itself. So in the latest version of the custom table guide, there's something really new. It's related to the apps which are inheriting from the task table. So, in many, many videos in the last years, they told us inherit from the task table because it's the easiest way to build an application. You can benefit from all the options you have, like activity stream, approval engines, and so on. But now there is a new paragraph here, and which tells you that direct tables inherited exceed the App Engine starter usage definition and cannot be considered an App Engine starter custom table. So that means that you not only need the App Engine enterprise license for usage of the Workspace Builder, but also if you want to create applications which contains tables that are inherited from the task table. And fortunately, we have not inherited from a task table, if I'm not right, Ivan, right? It is a standalone table.
Yes, in our case, we can spare some money.
If you're going to do records that are task-based or task similar, that you should inherit task table.
I think there is within the, application developer course, or ServiceNow application developer course, and also available on the ServiceNow University and in the documentation, a kind of a table that allows you to understand whether you should or should not extend from the table, right?
Yeah, there are also many community articles which also have some concepts to make a decision between the different scenarios. So this is something you should have in mind. Keep in mind if you want to create applications on your customer instances, be aware of that you need the respective license to be compliant.
Well, guys, that was it for today's session. And a couple of final words to wrap it up. Remember that the Workspace is a new modern interface to your custom applications. It allows you to connect a lot of different components and resources inside of a single interface. However, if you might want to create it in a simplified way, you will be obliged to have App Engine Studio Enterprise license. And keep in mind also, license applications is a thing that is constantly changing. For example, as we have seen, the applications that are inherited or using the tables that are inherited or extended from a task table cannot be created anymore without App Engine. And it's all a very huge news for us as developers, because it will definitely impact the daily business. Do you guys want to add something?
Maybe I want to add that the workspaces are really dedicated to the role of an agent, somebody who's working on tickets. It's not related to end users. For end users, we still have the best option with the service portal or maybe with the mobile app.
All right. With all that being said, we wish you a great day and we'll see you in our next expedition. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.